Okay, let's get this out of the way. I'm here to make an argument that you can build a better Brimaz deck than you can an Adeline deck. And that's a big call. I'm not arguing that Brimaz is a better card than Adeline. She's better in almost every way. What I am saying is that he's better at taking advantage of some of White's biggest strengths. He is better at being White. Yeah, you can't say that. I'm cancelled. So Brimaz, he's worse than Adeline. Like straight up, worse in almost every way. They have the same mana cost. They both have vigilance. She pretty exclusively always has better stats than him. He's a cat soldier, which is just worse than being a human soldier. Human tribal is pretty much one of the strongest tribes in the game. So why is Adeline not the best commander possible? Well, White is too fair to take advantage of how powerful Adeline could be. She can make 3 tokens in 1 turn, which is crazy good, but I'm going to use Takasia's Welcome to illustrate why Brimaz is better suited. She attacks, you make 3 1/1s, which yes is busted, but Takasia's Welcome will only draw you 1 card, since its power is restricted behind this once per turn clause. So if we sub in Brimaz, King of Oreskos into this example, we can get a different outcome. You attack, you make 1 1/1 cat, and you draw 1 card. Okay, so far it's actually only worse, but wait, Brimaz has another ability. When he blocks, he also makes a 1/1. So he has the potential to make 4 1/1s in a turn cycle. Also, come on, cat, token, let's be real.
Men only want one thing, and it's not money, it's not power, it's not love.
But obviously our opponents know that, so they're going to say, well, I'm not going to attack you then, so you don't make a 1/1 and you don't draw a card. And you might say, well, we're not getting any value, but hold on, our opponents just elected not to attack us. You know what else gains value like that? Fucking Maze of Ith. White plays fair, and playing fair means it wants long game. And you might think, well, the best way to go long is to gain life, but life gain is not the answer. Life gain will get you attacked. With Brimaz on the table, it's a very regular occurrence that we get to like turn 6 or 7, and players look at the life totals, see mine at 40, and wonder how that's possible. And the answer is extremely hidden from them, even though it's in plain sight. I've taken very few game actions, I've done nothing that isn't fair, and I'm just sitting there with Brimaz and some cat tokens, which I haven't even mentioned also get vigilance, unlike Adeline's tokens. So why am I winning? Well, the answer is Brimaz. Brimaz just stays winning. All of this while Adeline is removal worthy, or you might think she's borderline. Whatever the case, Brimaz dodges threat assessment left and right. No one reads Brimaz and thinks he has to get gone. And most of the value he accrues is invisible to the table anyway. Plus, he's a cat. Look at him.
That's the cutest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Cutie. The way I've built this deck avoids most of the big white archetypes. It's not life gain, it's not flicker, thank god, it's not Voltron, although it has an intersection with Voltron, and it's not white weenie, which it also has an intersection with. I believe this should be an established white archetype, but it isn't. It feels very white and it amplifies all of white's best cards. So what is it? What have I made? What if we equip Sword of Forge and Frontier onto Phyrexian Vindicator, or give Blinding Angel Kusarigama? Players really don't want to block a Phyrexian Vindicator, but if they don't, the sword will give me a ton of value, plus it'll hit them for 7. If a player doesn't block our Blinding Angel, they're going to skip their next combat step. But if they do block it, Kusarigama can wipe their whole board. So what do they do here? This is our archetype. If they block, we get value. If they don't, we get value. They attack, we get value. They don't, we get value. This deck gives our opponents no good outcomes at any point in the game. Not just on my turns, but theirs too. I am the rock and the hard place. I don't know if there's a name for this archetype I've built here, but if there is, leave it below. So how'd I end up with this deck? Well, everyone's secret crush, Rachel Weeks, convinced me that I had to start playing white. So I jumped right in and built a Preston the Vanisher Flicker deck, which I immediately fucking hated and took apart. But since I'm such a special snowflake, I tried again, but this time with an extremely never built commander in Sensei Golden Tail, a card that is terrible and has 124 decks on EDH Rec. You should never build this commander. It is really bad. But it cares about combat, so I tried to make it work. And after months and months of trying, I finally switched to the doubly as popular Brimaz, King of Oreskos, who has 307 decks online, and everything started coming together.
I'm sober enough to know what I'm doing, and I'm drunk enough to really enjoy doing it.
So what have we been putting in this son of a bitch? Well, I'll go over the card draw first, and this should outline more of the solid themes for you. And oh boy, I can't wait to tell you guys about the card draw. Infiltration Lens, that draws when we get blocked. Idol of Oblivion, that draws when we make tokens. Chivalric Alliance, draws when we attack. Skull Clamp, we use on our tokens. Mask of Memory, draws when we hit opponents. Caretaker's Talent, draws for tokens. Sword of Fortune Frontier, that's damage. Takassia's Welcome, that's tokens. Wedding Announcement, either makes tokens, or if we attack, it draws us cards. Battle Angels of Tyr can draw us cards when it attacks, and it also makes tokens of itself. Benny Brack Zoologist draws cards for tokens, and Fireman Commando draws for us attacking.
Look at the fucking pace! 50, 49, 47, baby! That's fucking right! That's fucking it! Fucking pumped watching this one again. I waited to cinema too because I said, oh my god, it might be 112. And it fucking is!
So yeah, all those cards care about attacking and tokens. And since our commander both triggers on attack and makes tokens, these can draw us an incredible number of cards. The last few card draw pieces are Mangara the Diplomat, Trouble in Pairs, and Esper Sentinel. These are all really good draw options in white, but I don't like how they don't synergize all that well with the rest of the deck. So once they print more cards like Chivalric Alliance and Benny Bracks, these are coming out. Finally, there's the Immortal Sun. This card is pulling 3 different effects in the deck. Well, I guess 4, since it has that Planeswalker thing, and that can be relevant. Sorry, Will. But the Immortal Sun is card draw, it's the best kind of ramp, being cost reduction, and it's an Anthem effect. And we have a bunch more Anthem effects in the deck too, which are almost all serving some other purpose like the Immortal Sun is. I already mentioned Wedding Announcement, which draws cards but its backside is also an Anthem, and Caretaker's Talent, which draws cards, has an Anthem effect for tokens specifically, and it has the ability to copy any tokens we make. Flowering of the White Tree and Paladin class are both anthems with protection type effects, with the class also being able to give double strike. Ultramarine's Honor Guard is an anthem with the squad ability, meaning when we cast him, we can pay 2 and make token copies of him, which can actually be copied using Caretaker's Talent's second ability as well. Crescendo of War has 2 effects, one that buffs everyone's attacking creatures, and one that buffs my blocking creatures. So a semi one-sided anthem effect. I've ordered this card and it's in the mail, but I haven't played with it yet, so I'm excited to see how it goes. But if anyone has any experience with it, let me know. Heraldic Banner and Patchwork Banner
No, I can't laugh yet.
are both mana rocks with anthem effects, with the Patchwork Banner being creature type specific. Unfortunately for our cat tokens, this is not a cat deck, so we're just going to choose Soldier here. So mentioning our mana rocks, I'll explain the other ways that our white deck ramps. I already mentioned the Immortal Sun, but Pearl Medallion is also a cost reducer. Drowsing Dagger is an equipment that cares about hitting a player, and when you do, it flips into a land that taps for 3 mana. Sword of the Animist, Sword of Fortune Frontier, and Sword of Hearth and Home all help you get more lands into play. Hearth and Home also has this flicker effect, which there isn't a ton to flicker for value in this deck, unfortunately, and it also gives protection from white, which can be kind of bad in a white deck. Turns off some of our targeted stuff like Sajiri Shelter, a white MDFC protection spell that gives target creature protection from the color of our choice. But hey, at least if that color was supposed to be white, then it doesn't even matter. Terrain Generator is a land that can also help us put more lands down, and Deep Known Terramancer helps us cheat lands in when our opponents do. It even triggers off stuff like fetches. So since all of those are putting extra lands down, it can be possible to turn off our next few pieces of ramp. White catch-up ramp like Claim Jumper that has this double ETB Go Get a Plains effect, Knight of the White Orchid which has First Strike.
Hey, can you hold the charge? Can you hold the charge?
I'll hold it. All right. Look, I'm holding it.
All right, can you hold the charge?
Yeah.
My sponsor's watching.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm holding it. I swear
hold
I'm
the charge.
I'm holding it.
You can hold it.
I'm holding it. Look, I'm holding it.
You said
Lemao and Sand Scout, which fetches Desert, make warrior. Why does that mean so funny to me? Don't put this in, man. Since we're putting considerable effort into land ramping, we're also running several bounce lands to help us go down on land count compared to the table, like Arid Archway, Guildless Commons, and Karoo. It's a bit rough using Karoo, for anyone who knows what that's like, but it gets the job done. Ghost Town can also bounce itself, but it doesn't leave us equal on mana, so it doesn't get a lot of use. I've also elected to use Strip Mine here, rather than my usual Demolition Field. Where Demo Field leaves you mana neutral with the table, Strip Mine leaves us a land down, which is better for our white catch-up ramp. So if we do end up down on lands, our best payoff is Weathered Wayfarer, which can fetch us any lands in the deck as long as we're down. Using Weathered Wayfarer, our line is to first go get Flagstones of Trockia. We play it as a land for the turn, and then on our next turn, we go get Lotus Field. Lotus Field is a hexproof land that taps for 3 mana, but when it enters you have to sack 2 lands, so if we elect for one of them to be Flagstones, it will replace itself and go get a Plains. So we've effectively ramped 1 land, which is extremely satisfying. Commander Boomy had a video recently on how to ramp in white, and while the video was excellent, he didn't mention this in there, but regardless you should go give it a watch, and if you need some more white ramp tips, you can go over there and steal all of his ideas.
Yeah, I just stole that shit, it's fine.
But since I'm on the topic of lands...
Temple of the False God.
Temple of the False God. That's right, even in white. Even when I'm actively making myself have less lands, I'm still running it. I just like the card. There are a lot more other lands that are not as interesting and I'm going to skip over them here, but I'll just mention we're running Iganjo, Seed of the Empire, and Razorgrass Ambush as some combat trick style lands, and they can act as some soft removal. And I'm kind of shy to tell you guys about the rest of the removal, but...
Go on.
Well, the first thing I'll mention is that I'm running Condemn. This is a combat trick that tucks an attacking creature on the bottom of its owner's library, which is not that good. It is usable, but get this, I'm also running Righteousness in this deck.
Come on!
Yeah, Righteousness is a combat trick that gives a blocking creature +7/+7 until end of turn. Now if you said, that's okay, because you're in white, so of course you're running Swords and Path, some of the greatest removal ever printed. Yeah, I'm not. It's not like they aren't incredible removal spells, because they are. I just think Condemn and Righteousness are a lot more fun. So, yeah. Fuck you, I guess? The reason I kind of shied away from removal that's just plain good here and went with stuff that I like is just because I like it. And I feel it's a lot more fun to remove someone's shit with a Righteousness than a Swords. It's very obviously worse, but it just feels a lot more fun. As for the rest of the removal, Godsend is an equipment that we can equip on something, and then it will exile stuff that blocks it. Devouring Light has Convoke, so we can use our commander and our Vigilant Cat tokens to pay for it, and it will exile an attacking or blocking creature. Catapult Squad will also use our cats, since they're also soldiers. You can tap 2 soldiers to deal an attacking or blocking creature 2 damage. Brigid, Hero of Kinsbale, is a souped up version of this effect, since it can deal 2 damage to all attacking or blocking creatures. This stuff makes our opponents have to do a lot more math than usual when they're considering combat. Umezawa's Jite can also make the math hard for our opponents, since it can buff our stuff and minus their stuff at instant speed. And it's really great value with our Vigilant Commander, since it cares about when he does damage. It can trigger on blocks and attacks. Sultai Visionary, Lauren of the Third Path, and Witch Enchanter can all destroy artifacts and enchantments. Space Marine Devastator can too, but he has that squad mechanic we talked about earlier, so we can hit multiple with him. Unexplained Absence can also hit multiple targets, except it exiles non-land permanents, and so can Aerial Extortionist. He has an ETB and a damage trigger to exile a non-land permanent, and then its controller can cast it again, but if they do, we get to draw a card. And then we can just exile it again the next turn if we want. I used to run Blade Griff Prototype that could hit someone and destroy a non-land card of that player's choice, but it never really worked how I wanted it to. We have 2 board wipes in Mass Calcify, which misses all white creatures, so it will mostly hit all of our opponents and never us, and Winds of Abandon, which exiles all creatures we don't control, and then for each creature exiled, its controller gets a basic, but we can usually finish the game off before that matters. So since we've been over most of the major card categories now, I'm just going to do a rundown of some of my favorite cards that don't fit into those so well. And I'm going to start with Alaborn Zealot. This card has a lady with a shotgun on it. What the fuck did they print a lady with a shotgun in Portal 2nd Age for? If you take anything away from this video, It should be that this card is the fucking best. I love playing this card. Every time I play it, it feels like it's my fucking birthday.
Do you want to say happy birthday to Clancy?
Happy birthday, Clancy.
Yeah. Thank you. Who was that, man? Also, it's not actually my birthday.
Happy birthday, Clancy. I love you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thank you. It's not my birthday though. I'm a Leo. It's March right now, so that's like the bucket of water one or whatever. Fucking crab or some shit. I don't know star signs. But she has this ability that says, when she blocks, you destroy her and the creature she blocked. Now at first that sounds like Death Touch, but it's actually a lot better. This ability stops lifelink on our opponent's creatures, it stops all trample damage, it gets around first strike and double strike. Your creature could have lifelink, double strike, trample, and Death Touch, and you're not getting through this lady. She'll just shoot you in the head, and then herself. And I can't believe that this lady with a shotgun does not have reach.
Oh, come on!
Could she not possibly shoot a bird? That is crazy to me. Our second best card after that lady is Reconnaissance. If you haven't seen this card before, it costs 1 white for an enchantment that lets you untap and remove your creatures from combat. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but it means you can just swing out with everything on every turn, and if one of your creatures might die, you just say nope, and it doesn't. And it might sound like cheating, but because of the way combat works, at the end of combat step, you can just untap all your stuff. So it's essentially vigilance on everything for a 1 mana enchantment. I was so stoked when I found this card, and I picked it up for like 15 USD or something, and then like a week later, they announced it was getting reprinted in Assassin's Creed, and now it is like a $2 card. Why does this always happen to me? Next, it's Silverblade Paladin. Silverblade Paladin has a horse in the art. And he gives double strike, which is great with our stuff that cares about combat damage. Hunter's Blowgun can give Brimaz Death Touch if it's our turn, and Reach if it's not, which works beautifully with our Vigilance. If Archangel of Tides is untapped, our opponents have to pay 1 per creature to attack us. But if the Archangel is attacking, they have to pay 1 per creature if they want to block. This works great if we have Reconnaissance out, since we can untap her at the end of combat and then get the best out of both modes. Angel of Indemnity is a flying lifelinker that enters and returns something with mana value 4 or less from your graveyard. Then, you can encore it for 8 and create 3 token copies of it and return 3 things. And I mentioned these cards before, but yeah, Phyrexian Vindicator is a 5/5 flyer that if it's dealt damage, you get to prevent it and redirect it. Kusarigama is an equipment that says if the equipped creature deals damage to a blocking creature, the equipment deals that much damage to all the other creatures the defending player controls. And Blinding Angel says if it hits you, you skip your next combat step, which shuts down about 90% of decks. My friend James has an Ishin deck. If I hit him with this, well...
It says you're shit out of luck.
So, we get to play with all our cool toys. We get to draw about 1 million cards, which will draw us into our ramp, which will give us the mana to cast all of our coolest and most epic shit, and we're going to end up with a wide board from all our tokens, and then eventually we're going to draw into our anthems, and our board will become both wide and tall. So, sort of like a square. And no one's going to be able to attack us. Like, without flyers, it can get extremely hard to find good attacks into us.
Why won't you die?
Since most of the individual pieces on our board are only giving us some of our value, our power on board is very decentralized. Probably our most valuable cards are our anthems, so it can be worth holding them in hand until later in the game. But our opponents are going to find that picking a target on our board worth removing is a very hard decision. Even Brimaz does not pose a valuable target once our board is set up like this. We do have some cards that protect him like Brotherhood Regalia and Whispersilk Cloak, but that protection is mostly incidental since we're mainly using these cards because they let our creatures like Aerial Extortionist become unblockable. So if our opponent's targeted removal doesn't work, they're going to turn to alternative solutions. But we're ready for this. They're going to try to board wipe us. If we can draw enough cards and we can take advantage of White's most powerful cards, this will actually be an advantage for us. Like I said, these games go long. White can be and is very grindy, so the chances of a board wipe increase under the conditions that our deck likes. So first and worst, there's Selfless Spirit. He can sack himself to give our stuff indestructible, but he has to be on board to help us, and in literally the last game I played with this deck, I drew this card in my end step with Benny Brax, and then proceeded to get board wiped in my opponent's turn since I couldn't cast the Selfless Spirit. Next, it's Flawless Maneuver. Flawless Maneuver is really good since it's most likely free and it's an instant, which is what we need. It protects perfectly against Blasphemous Act and Damnation style board wipes, and that is to say it protects my creatures from destroy and damage effects. But if they cast a Bane of Progress, which is going to blow up all my anthems and swords, well, Dawn's Truce, as long as I gift one card, gives my permanents indestructible. Flare of Fortitude offers the same thing. Your opponent is casting the Fallout version of Ruinous Ultimatum. That's okay. Literally sacrifice fucking Brimaz to this, and then it's free, and you just keep all your shit. Sorry Brimaz, but worth. But what if they're casting Toxic Deluge? All our indestructible won't work against -7, -7. Well, don't worry about that. We cast Guardian of Faith and phase out all our creatures. But what if they don't do any of that? What if they cast the literal Fallout Farewell? Or the fucking literal Hatsune Miku Cyclonic Rift? I can't believe this is a fucking actual magic card and not one that I photoshopped myself just for this video. Well, if they have no soul and they try to pull that shit, we can cast Clever Concealment. With the Convoke on this card and the Vigilance on our cats. Oh my god, there's a cat scratching at the door. Evie, fuck off, bro. You're a fucking asshole, you know. What was I up to? This is a free spell for us, and it's gonna phase all our shit out. And then when we phase back in, we might just win the game. Our opponent's casting board wipes is actually kind of a win condition in this deck. I can't tell you the number of times I've won from responding to a board wipe. So at the end of all that, we're running 36 lands, 16 pieces of ramp, 17 pieces of removal, and this is the big one, an incredible 18 pieces of draw. How's that for a fucking white deck, huh? What do you guys think about that?
That's destiny, that's will, that's striving, that's being a trailblazer and explorer, going into space, mathematics, quantum mechanics, the secrets of the universe, it's all there. Life is fiery with its beauty, its incredible detail, tuning into it. They want to shatter your mind, talking about Justin Bieber!
Yeah, it used to be 19, but 18 is more than enough. More than enough. Jesus, I didn't know you guys cared so much about these stats. I'll also mention we have 9 Anthem effects and 12 pieces of protection since these are pretty essential categories to the game plan. And that's it. Go check out Rubbed Genie. He makes the backgrounds for these videos and bro is terminally chill. You know what they say, it's chill or be chilled. And yes, that is a threat. So go follow his Instagram, the link is in the description. I'll chuck a link to the deck list down there as well. And don't sub, probably I'm too cancelled, so maybe unsub I think would be better. I just hit 100 subs and I think it would be for the best if you all just click the unsubscribe button. Maybe if you and your friends have a furry Discord server, you can post it in the MTG Playpen channel and at everyone to let them know not to watch it. And that's everything. Goodbye. Until my next Shrek video, I am once again suggesting that if you watch this whole video, you are literally my boyfriend now.